That's right, man, Charlie. That's right.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on. Hope everyone's doing well and safe on this Tuesday. Big up the community. People deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're over the Bournemouth game again. When Arsenal lose or even when we win, you know, we basically keep the lights on of half of these YouTubers. YouTube is cool, but half of these YouTubers, half of these sports platforms, you know, there's a lot to digest, people. Now, again, happy Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well and safe. Hope you're all progressively moving to your goals. One love for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Smash the like button. If you're on Twitter or Twitch, walk on. So yeah, people, we know we've got Shakhtar the next coming, people. Again, I want to win the game. I understand people are saying to rotate, maybe save legs. We don't know if we're going to see Timber or Bukayo Saka. We need to win the game with the greatest of respect to Shakhtar the next. Every game is difficult in the Premier League and definitely the Champions League. When you've got Inter Milan to come, when you're coming off the back of a Bournemouth defeat, when you've got Liverpool, a victory for obvious reasons. We get 3 points on the board. Well, 7 points if you factor in the previous 2 Champions League games. There's obviously a bit of feel-good factor. And, you know, when you lose a game in any comps, the best tonic for that is simply put to win games again. So we got to get back on the horse. You know, at the end of the day, the Bournemouth one's done. We can talk about Bournemouth, Manchester City, Brighton, where we've dropped points, where we've gained points. The past is the past. The past brings regrets. The future brings uncertainty. There's no time like the present, and there's nothing you can do but live in the present moment. So let's just take that and move forward. Again, people, as much as I clearly do like the sound of my own voice, if you've got any thoughts, smash the like button and all of that. Let's just get into stuff, man. Big up you lot for tuning in. Appreciate you, So yeah, people, let me share my screen with you guys. The first thing I want to talk about is, first things first, happy 75th birthday to Arsène Wenger. You know, people can say what you want. He's one of the best managers to have ever managed in the Premier League and in world football. His brand of football, his innovativeness, you know, he's a trailblazer. There's no Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Conte, Jose, all of these guys. There's no foreign influx in this Premier League until this man came and did what he did and gave Sir Alex Ferguson some battles. You know, we all know he went unbeaten. You know, you can see there Perez, Thierry and Reece Alex Ferguson during praises, the record FA Cup winner. Again, people, you look at the games he managed, 1,235. He had 707 wins and he scored, well, his team scored 2,298. He won 3 Premier League titles, a bunch of FA Cups and the English Super Cups, people. So yeah, and he also, in my 29 years, I got to see my team win the league at Shite Hart Lane and obviously Old Trafford. Say what you want about my club. I know no one's rocked up at our ground and won the league at the Emirates or at Highbury, etc. So yeah, happy birthday to Arsène Wenger. What I want to move on to, people, and I know social media is not a good judge of sentiment or talking points, and we live in a day and age where there's hyper opinions and rage bait positively and negatively. But one thing I have to say with Arsenal fans, I don't understand the rhetoric around Mikel Merino. By all means, if he was, you know, doing the business, house on fire, all of this, give the man praise. So I understand if there's concerns. This is the industry, you know, footballers, content creators, everyone needs to be praised and critiqued fairly. But after waffling about how Mikel Merino is going to be the Xhaka replacement, he's going to unlock Calafiori and Martinelli, the left-hand side is going to have some stability, all of this, that, and the third, you know, it's gone the other way. And, you know, people are saying he's rubbish, he's slow, he's this, he's that. You know, he might not be the answer. He might not be the trailblazer that we need in midfield. But the one thing I would say to the man is, are you really going to judge a man, any footballer, on 136 minutes for your club? 110 in the Premier League, first significant minutes in the Premier League against Bournemouth, where everything was disjointed. Mikel Arteta is sitting there, in my opinion, and trying to make him do the Odegaard thing and leading the press with Kai Havertz, trying to make him run in behind Kai Havertz, trying to make him drop deep, as we discussed yesterday. You know, I've never said that, for me anyways, I've never felt Mikel Merino's a trailblazer. I thought he was a shrewd addition, a smart addition that improves the squad and has a lot of qualities. Give the man the chance to show such, man. I think it's quite disgraceful, you know, and it just shows how quickly people people can turn on you. Of course, you also need to remember, you know, when he signed for our football club, he got injured. He's essentially playing catch up. He's nowhere near fit, and I don't think he'll ever be fit. You know, it takes me back to what Theo Walcott said a while ago, in that the worst time to get injured is the start of the season, because you're never going to catch up. And that's obviously a worry, because there's several players you could lay claim to that off the backdrop of, you know, injuries and whatnot. So I do think you have to give Mikel Merino time to adapt to the league again, time to just show his best, time to get, you know, up to speed with things, man. From what I've seen of Moreno, I like the fact that he wants to win duels. He's quite tigerish. He's decent on the ball. Bit slower, admittedly, than I thought. You know, maybe there's, you know, that's a lack of fitness. Does look slower than Granit Xhaka. Maybe I'm seeing things and whatnot. It does look a bit crazy in that regards. Bro, the Mikel Merino hate is shocking. I'm seeing man wanting Xhaka back. To be fair, I'm not going to lie. Over the last 2 seasons, I think we could have dealt with Granit Xhaka, really. But, you know, that's football. People that wanted Granit Xhaka go and swore down he weren't good enough, now crying for him back. And hindsight's a wonderful thing when you look back with rose tints. You know, big up Unai Emery. He's doing great things for Aston Villa. But even with Unai Emery compared to Mikel Arteta, people look at Emery and say, could he have been the guy for us? Who knows with more time? But I think people look at that with rose tints, if I'm honest with you. So just lay off Mikel Merino, man. The man deserves a chance. Again, praise and critique fairly. We will be judging him as he goes on. But again, are you really going to write someone off after 136 minutes in all comps, 110 in the Premier League and 26 in the Champs, where even before the Bournemouth game, everyone was waffling about how good his cameo was against PSG. Now, I'm sure a lot of you would be seeing on social media now, or better yet, the Sky Sportses and etc. of this world, you'll all be seeing, you know, when Arsenal get a red card, there's issues. People can't tell me there's not an agenda, because whenever you've seen people calculating speeds, when people get sent off, they're calculating Ivan Nilsson and Benjamin White's speed. Or top speeds, better yet. When have you seen this? This is crazy, in my opinion. This is absolute madness. I do think Arsenal fans, a lot of us are babies. A lot of us are conspiracy theorists. A lot of us, there's a lot of injustices, but a lot of us, you know, are quite dishonest. Like, I look at the Tosin potential red card and Saliba's. I think it's slightly different. And as you would see, you know, apparently most Premier League red cards since Mikel Arteta was appointed, we stand at 18. That's some distance in first place. You know, Everton got 13, Wolves got 13, Spurs and Chelsea equally have 11. So admittedly, you know, at this moment in time, there clearly is a discipline problem. No matter where you shape it, 7-8 games, 3 red cards. You know, dark art's gone wrong, really, because, you know, I look at Trossard's one. I give him the benefit of the doubt. And yes, you know, everybody does that. Everybody kicks the ball away and things of that ilk. But there is gaslighting. I give Trossard the benefit of the doubt. Personally, though, I think he knows what he's doing. He's kicking the ball away. You could argue with Declan Rice's red card, the ball's actually moving. He knows what he's doing. Saliba, it's a mad moment from you where you did a madness in it. So it's 3 separate incidences. You know, do we have a discipline problem? I can't deny it. At this moment in time, it does look like we do. I think we have a discipline problem all over the team. I personally think Arsenal, we need to get back to basics. I think we need to get back to defending from the front well. Obviously, there's injuries and that factors, but I think we need to get back better at that. I think we need to get back to those high standards defensively. And I think everything was wrong against Bournemouth. Now, if you dare to play like how you did against Bournemouth, against Liverpool, with the form they're in and beating Chelsea and what Onslaught's doing, you're going to lose. I'm not blaming anyone. But when I see Kivio's back pass and what led to David Raya, when I see a lack of build-up play and David Raya's kicking poorly, you know, when I see, you know, the poor pass from Trossard and then Saliba's mistake, that game was sloppy. Everyone in that team was sloppy. The only people I allow are the ones that come off the bench, because really and truly, there's not, well, apart from Kivio, there's nothing to scream and shout about. So it's a bit annoying, people. It's very annoying. You know, Mikel Arteta on that said, you know, on the red card said they're all different ones. We've also had 2 different periods where we had a lot and then not any. Now we have 3 in a row. We have red cards for taking a throw in brackets Tomiyasu. I'll remember that. You can have a red card for making a really bad tackle, Vieira, or the last man making a mistake and it's a penalty. What we've had is a lot, but I don't know what is little in 5 years, but it's something that we have to avoid, that's for sure. He then said, when you analyze the 3 very different actions and the outcome of them, the reasons are very different. Dark art's gone wrong in that case, because Declan Rice is delaying the restart, Trossard's delaying the restart, you know, dark art's gone wrong. You know, Saliba's making a tactical foul. These things happen, and you do see them in the Premier League, different outcomes. But at the end of the day, you play stupid games, potentially you win stupid prizes, people. And I do agree with Mikel Arteta. It has nothing to do with, you could argue it's got nothing to do with indiscipline, even though I'm sounding like a hypocrite. I don't think it's got anything to do with aggression. But fundamentally, we've now received 3 red cards in the opening 8 games this season. And, you know, it's tough enough in the Premier League to win with 11 players, let alone let alone 10. And where you look at them, they've all come at vital moments. Obviously, the Saliba one, we weren't at the best of, it was a stalemate at that point. We weren't at the races. We weren't at our best against Bournemouth at all, really. But it came 15 minutes before half time where it made it difficult. And, we did the best part to hold it up for 40 minutes. Come the 70th minute, a moment of madness in those 9-minute periods. And come the 79th minute, we were 2 goals down. Trossard's red card for me is a bitter pill to swallow, purely because it came at a pivotal moment. We got ourselves back in the game against Manchester City. As we know, we started to do our thing. We started to move the ball about. Obviously, the dynamics shifted. Declan Rice, I was at the Brighton game. That one baffled me. I genuinely thought, I still remember that. I thought the Brighton lad was sent off. I think that was a madness. And again, that was early into the second half, which flipped the game on its script, people. But yeah, I don't know how good my screenshot is, but William Saliba's sending off against Bournemouth was Arsenal's 18th red card in the Premier League since Mikel Arteta's first game as manager on the 26th of December 2019. Smash the like button. That's at least 5 more than any other team in that time. Now, again, fair enough. Stats are stats, but I think it's a bit dishonest. Statistics don't really mean much. And again, yes, when Mikel Arteta took over, at this moment in time, you can say, for what it's worth, there's a discipline issue. When Mikel Arteta took over, we was a mess. We was a mess in every fragment of this football club, on and off the field, much less the players and the discipline that has seen us fight for league titles, etc., was not there. So fair enough. But I think it's dishonest in that it makes out that we're not really disciplined, because if we start rising up the facts, what Mikel Arteta took charge in 2019-20, fair enough, there was 4 red cards, which was crazy. In that, you go to 2020-21, what happened there? Probably the same kind of thing if the screen will work. It's magic. Yeah, we had 4 red cards there. So yeah, there was a discipline issue. You get to 2021-22 now, you start to probably see a tiny bit of an improvement. We only had 1. Then you go to 2022-23. Again, people, it starts to get better. We had none. Then you look at 23-24. Did we have a red card last year? We probably did. But let's see. Yeah, we had 1. So again, a lot of those stats are conflated over years ago. It makes out that we're getting man sent off week in, week out, man. If I'm completely honest with you, which is absolutely shocking. But this is the way the game goes, and this is exactly what they're gonna do. Again, we can't look around it. We have to deal with what's in front of us today, and that's obviously Shakhtar the next, in which Saliba can play. We all know, for me anyways, Saliba's our best defender, or a key part to our team. But for me personally, what we can't do is sit here and lie and say, Saliba, we have to get on with it. Suspensions and injuries are not something unique to Arsenal, but it's a bitter pill to swallow, and it does harm us. We didn't win the league in the last 2 years prior to the season we're seeing now. But if you remember the first title race we kind of had, Saliba got injured. We fell off a cliff end of the season. Saliba played every minute last year. We obviously ran it down to the last day of the season. Now, obviously, Saliba in isolation is not the difference, but you have your best players available, you can do things. We can't really moan, because City are having to deal without Kevin De Bruyne and without Rodri. Yes, they've got depth in their City, but it is what it is. Did we do everything we needed to do in the summer market and the markets before? I praise the club for how they've assembled the squad and the options we've got. But then by the same logic, you take a couple of players out of this team, we obviously see the effects. Yes, I don't want to be a hypocrite. We were getting results really and truly, but there we have it. With and without Saliba, 73 games played, 11 without him. We've won 54, and then without him, we've won 5. With him, we've drawn 10, and then without him, we've drawn 3. With him, we've lost 9. Without him, we've lost 3. Obviously, goals against per game without him stands at 1.6. With him, it's 0.8. Our win rate dramatically drops, obviously, as well, people. With him, 74%. Without him, it's 45.5. So it's nothing unique to Arsenal. We're going to have to get on with it, man. It's as simple as that. Moving away from that, we all know we've got Shakhtar the next tonight, people. Smash the like button and get your thoughts in. They aren't in the best of form, really and truly. They got 3 wins here. They drew with Bologna in the Champions League. They did batter whatever team that is. Then they drew. They got spanked by Atalanta. They did come back well. In fact, I'm lying. They're actually in decent form, people, ahead of it today, really. So we're going to have to see. And to be honest with you, I want to batter them because of how they dealt with us. With Mudryk, they're 4th in the Ukrainian league as well, so they're a bit inconsistent. As Mikel Arteta said, we have to take the pain we have and use it tomorrow, which is evidently today, and do our thing, people. Mikel Merino said winning the Champions League here would be amazing. There's still a long way to go to achieve that. We have the basics, the players, we have the mentality. That has to be the ultimate goal. I do think we've got the mentality of winners, but where the Champions League's concerned, we've got experienced players, but we ain't got the seasoned veterans in that regards. And I think everybody could see in the 2 games against Bayern, whether it was down to us needing some individual brilliance, players looking a bit nervous. Because, if I'm honest with you, The only time for me, well, to be fair, Saliba for France the other day, he had a clanger against Bournemouth. But the only time Saliba has looked like a young centre-back or looked starstruck or looked phased or looked like he's struggling, for me, he's been in the Champions League. So I would describe the Champions League as impossible. The Premier League is improbable, but you never know, people. Pardon me. As long as you're in it, I guess you have a chance. Apparently, there was no signs of Saka or Timber in Arsenal training now. Maybe they just weren't caught on camera. Maybe we're playing a bit of a game. Maybe we're potentially resting them going into the Liverpool game on Sunday, essentially. So then it raises in question who the hell plays. Because for me, if Timber was fit, Timber plays. I would give Calafiori can start, but I just want to protect his legs. If Timber's not there, do you know what? I know it should be Calafiori. But my lineup would probably be David Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White, Zinchenko. I would rest Partey. I would take, you can come off the bench, but I would take Partey out. I'd go Declan Rice, Mikel Merino. In terms of creativity, I want to get Trossard back in the 10, if I'm honest with you. If Saka isn't there, I'd go Jesus. And I hope Martinelli's fit enough to play some part or start. But you could argue, you could put Raheem Sterling there potentially. Or Sterling potentially plays on the right if Martinelli's there, or Trossard moves over there. One thing I am flirting with as well, people. I know Mikel Arteta has urged caution with Ethan, and I agree and echo his sentiments, people. But I have felt against Bournemouth, again, I'm a hypocrite, but against Bournemouth, could he have started? Against Leicester and Southampton, could he have started? Today, yes, it's the Champions League, and you can't underestimate for a second shot to the nets and all of that kind of stuff. But could you make a case of Mikel Merino or Mikel Merino and Partey / Rice? Ethan goes out there. And again, we're going to have to utilize the bench. If I'm honest, I only want to see the likes of Calafiori and Partey play half an hour, 40 minutes today. I'll be absolutely honest with you lot. I do think we have to go Gabriel and Saliba. Saliba can't play on Sunday, so you might as well play now. I think Gabriel plays. Could you argue, though, this is a chance for Mikel Arteta to try a new look centre-half pairing and see how they get on? I don't know if that's Benjamin White, Timber, Calafiori, if Tomiyasu was fit, Kivior and Gabriel. Admittedly, Kivior, I don't want to be reactionary. I don't think you're the best centre-half at the club. Like, if you put a gun to my head, evidently Gabriel, Saliba are playing ahead of you. I'm putting Benjamin White centre-half before you. The same goes for Timber, potentially another one as well. The same goes for Calafiori. The same goes for Tomiyasu. And after the Bournemouth mistake, Kivior, I'll be honest, I don't think your heart's in it. Not even that your heart's in it. I do think you're a top professional. I just don't think, I think you're shook. Like, I don't have confidence in you against Liverpool. I know you did well last year against Liverpool. You can come off the bench, but if you're doing that against Bournemouth, where that pass and it's not just a him thing, that pass has to be 10 times better. That pass was on brand. And again, I'm not blaming him because everyone was terrible. The performance, I'll be honest, I hate losing. I hate drawing. But it's the performance. Sometimes in life, if the performance from Arsenal was great and we lost to Bournemouth, take nothing away from them. In life, you have to hold your hands up, but it weren't there. Did not win our duels. Didn't pass the ball forward to our level. Didn't press well. Didn't defend well. Went to sleep at a set piece. Sloppy all over the park from every footballer. That can't happen. So I can't really see you. So I wonder if Mikel Arteta will use this as an opportunity to potentially, quote unquote, simply put, blood some other players into the mix. I'm not too sure. On the Ethan Nwaneri stuff, people, he actually said, I think it's identifying moments and understanding where he is, where the team is, and where is the optimal moment to throw a player into that context. He's already done it a lot in a very short space of time. So let's take it step by step and make sure those steps are consistent and can allow him to grow in the manner and form that we want in the team. I hear that. Now, for me, I wouldn't say Ethan's not trusted. Clearly you are. You've come off the bench. You're part of the first team. Your age is relevant because you have to develop, but also it's not. Also, what I think people need to understand is technically, mentally, he's there. Now, he's a young player. When he's exposed to stuff, he'll show his age. It's the tactics. Now, I don't have a leg to stand on when you see what we saw with Bournemouth, but you've got to remember, in terms of Odegaard in that 10 role and Ethan, yes, in terms of what they can do with a ball, Ethan's nowhere near Odegaard, but you can kind of go in there. It's all the other aspects. You've got to remember how complicated Odegaard's role is, the positions he's got to take up and build up play, what he's got to do defensively, the discipline. I don't think at this moment in time, with potential pressure on Mikel Arteta, where it's been a mixed start to the season, where every game, as cliche as it is, kind of counts. I don't think Mikel Arteta wants to do that at this moment in time, people. So we have to see it. Apparently, Arsenal are exploring Emirates expansion to match rivals' income. Huge ticket demand and corporate needs among motives as club look at ways to grow 60,000 capacity stadium to compete with Spurs, Liverpool, and Man United. Big up you lot, people. Big up the nation, people. Without you lot, it's not possible. We've got just over that, really. We'd fill up the Emirates, man. So shout out you lot. But naturally, you want Arsenal to, get near the Real Madrids and the cities and anyone that's doing great on the pitch. Off the pitch, you obviously want to generate income. And to be fair with you, when you see, well, I live not far from the Spurs Stadium. Every week, if it's not NFL, there's some concert. They've had boxing. I think they've got not skydiving, but they've got mad things that you could do there now. Admittedly, their stadium's newer than us, but you've got to look at ways at generating income, really, which indirectly should benefit the club. Apparently, without a renovation, Arsenal cannot significantly increase their match day income. They earn 102.6 million from games in 2022-23, which is estimated by the AST Arsenal Supporters Trust to increase to more than 120 million in the next accounts because of the team reaching the knockout stages of the Champions League last season. Arsenal's matches regularly sell out, and they realize they need to keep. Are they sold out today? I don't know. Check the ticket exchange. They need to keep pace with the huge demands for tickets, as well as adapt to supporters' changing catering and corporate needs, for example, by improving internet access. So, yeah. And what you're seeing what the Cronkies are doing with their other stadiums and their other clubs, naturally, we was going to take suit. So, I don't think anyone can complain about that, people. Moving on, we've gone over that. In fact, going back, apparently, Arsenal will not appeal Saliba's red card at Bournemouth. I don't think we have a leg to stand on, personally. Yes, we could sit there and argue that there's inconsistencies once again with the way people are being refereed. You could look at the Tolson one against Chelsea, even though I don't want to praise referees. I think Tolson's one's a yellow card. It started in Liverpool's box. I don't think Saliba and Arsenal have a leg to stand on. VAR obviously got involved. There's no leg to stand on, if I'm completely honest with you lot. I don't know how true this is, people, but this ITK or whatever said Arsenal sent 12 incidences and clips from the recent overlap show to ask the league why Saliba was upgraded to a red. They also included they wish a representative to come see them and explain how delaying the restart is no longer a yellow card offence. They've attached 41 incidences in the claim, and I think we've all seen several incidences of people kicking the ball away and us being done dirty for that. They also said they would follow Man City in taking legal action against the league if the professional standards keep dropping. They added they hope their concerns don't impact the players with any people make mistakes that Howard Webb referred to in the media. This English is terrible. They said that Mikel and his staff are separate to the club, Arsenal, in challenging the FAPGMOL, and the comments made by the ref to Mikel Arteta on Saturday really disappointed the club. I mean, we have to get on with it, man, because I do think we are judged differently. I do think we're judged harshly, but I do think it's overstated. And at the end of the day, people, yeah, Saliba's red cards there don't give decisions to make, really, if I'm honest with you. And if I take away the rest decision, which I can't really with the Bournemouth game and say we're down to 10 men, do I believe that's the only factor without us winning? Probably not. Yes, I understand the club, because you could argue if we have 11v11 at City, we maybe could have lost. We probably could have won. The same goes for the Brighton game. And evidently, Bournemouth, I think if it was 11 versus 11, we'd probably draw the game, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, man, it is what it is in that regard. So yeah, keeping up the theme with stuff. We've gone over that. Defo covered that. Apparently, recent Arsenal signing unlikely to stay at the club, says expert. Charles Watts believes Raheem Sterling is not looking particularly likely to stay at the club for the long term after recently joining the Gunners from Chelsea. Now, we all knew this. You never know if his form uptakes and he's out of this world. I don't know when he's going to get consistent starts, or the saying that we all know the backdrop of what's going on with Bukayo Saka and Martinelli. It was a stopgap. When have you seen Edu come out and say, to be fair, we didn't plan to do this? Now, admittedly, things go wrong. The club probably tried to get other players. It didn't work. But fundamentally, we were scrambling on deadline day. Chelsea were begging anyone to take Raheem Sterling off their hands. We obviously did well in terms of the wages, etc. It don't make sense to keep Raheem Sterling, especially with the current form. Even though I feel sorry for him, because he ain't really had a chance, really. When he did get a chance, he had to get hooked against Bournemouth, people. Apparently, Anton Semenyo and Jamie Gittins of Bournemouth and Borussia Dortmund, respectively, are still being linked with us. Apparently, Anton Semenyo has had a strong start to the season for Bournemouth, and his comments that he's an Arsenal fan really caught the attention of some fans. I have no idea whether Arsenal have any plans on trying to make his dream of playing for the club come true at some point, but it'll be interesting to follow his progress this season. He certainly plays in an area where the club will look to strengthen their options in the summer, and his performances for Bournemouth are clearly making some top clubs take notice. Admittedly, very different kind of profiles. I want Tyler Diblin. I want Tyler Diblin from Southampton. I'll be brutally honest. I think he reminds me of Smith Rowe. Obviously, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Theo Walcott. We need to get back to buying Southampton players. I want him, especially if they get relegated, people. Apparently, Charles Watts said Jamie Gittins is another player who has been named as a potential target for Arsenal. But like Semenyo, it's really too early to be talking with any real substance about who the club might look to bring in to strengthen their squad. And when you look at it, you probably don't expect to see those kind of recruits take place. Smash the like button, people. What are we doing? take place in January. So for all this Vlahovic links and Gittins, etc., we know January is reactive. People don't want to sell. People don't really want to buy. You would have done all your business in the summer. If there's a Trossard or Jorginho thing that we could do, to be fair, we did buy Aubameyang, who had a bust up with Dortmund at the time. If there's them kind of things, then anything can happen. Me personally, I don't think the club are going to do anything beyond buy a goalkeeper in January. Whether you like that or not, let me know your thoughts, man. It remains to be seen whether Arsenal look to do any business in January. I'm sure they will if they can, but we all know it's a very difficult month to do anything significant when it comes to transfers. That's not to say they won't dip into the market if the right opportunity arises. Then I'm sure they'll go for it, but it's more likely they'll wait until the summer to spend big money. Gittins has caught the eye of late, and we know Arsenal will be looking at options out wide. They have Raheem Sterling right now, but it's tough to see that loan being made permanent come the end of the campaign, unless he shaves us a lot of those wages. Apparently, Zinchenko, after the Manchester City draw, said, I dropped a message in the group chat after the game. I said, you're effing Warriors. Honestly, you're Warriors. Wow, the second half was unbelievable because we all know how tough it is to play against the best team in the world. And, you know, Zinchenko's given an interview and he was speaking about how Pep Guardiola stopped training because Zinchenko answered back and all of those kind of things. He spoke on how long it took him to actually get a pro deal at City, people. So yeah, man, I'm not going to get you involved in what Zinchenko's had to say. I think there's a big part he plays today. We have been linked with Angel Gomez, and he's been linked with a move back to Manchester United. Apparently his future is still up in air and his contract's running down. So in January, you could get a pre-agreement in that. No clue if you care about referees, but allegedly Anthony Taylor will referee Arsenal's game against Liverpool on Sunday with Michael Salisbury on VAR, but it doesn't matter who refs us at this point. We were once upon a time linked with Samir Kilitsky, I believe, of Besiktas. He's apparently drawing interest from Everton, who are preparing a £17 million bid. You know, we were linked with Joshua Zertsky, and apparently he could leave Man United already and reunite with Thiago Motta at Juventus on loan, which is quite crazy for me to hear. We were linked with Jamie Lewing, the Germany international. Apparently has a release clause of 20 to 25 million euros next summer. Allegedly, top clubs from England are among those interested in the Germany striker. So maybe he was the mystery German. Arsenal are plotting a move for Brentford's 25-year-old forward Brian Mbeumo after his impressive start to the season. Not gonna lie, I think he'd be a good signing for us. Whether Brentford want to sell him, whether the price makes sense is another thing, but can play up front, can play on the left, can play on the right. Quite good in terms of pressing and on the transition. I think a lot of, well, David Raya, it's probably not the best example, but look how David Raya fitted into what Arsenal did. I think a lot of what Brentford do and a lot of what Arsenal do, there's a lot of intangibles. So I wouldn't be against Brian Mbeumo, but you're not getting him until the summer. They're going to let him go mid-season. You're probably dream chasing in that regard. Apparently, Atletico Madrid are to make a bid for 18-year-old talent scouted by Arsenal and Real Madrid. This draws us to the Mali under-20 international Baye Coulibaly. Apparently, the central midfielder is being courted by a variety of top clubs. Apparently, he currently plays for a Croatian third division side called NK Kuchla. No clue, but fair enough, people. So there must be something about him. Can't really comment on a player I don't know, but yeah, you know, you want the best players. We've been linked with John Duran. Didn't this man sign a new deal? It doesn't make no sense to me, really and truly. I mean, I'm having Duran. He's 20, could do a thing for us. But are they selling him in the winter market, as it says here? Are Aston Villa going to sell anyone in the winter market, especially while you're in the Champions League and whatnot? They're going to ask for top money. This is a man who the sporting director came out a few weeks ago, did he not, at Aston Villa and say 40 clubs wanted him. But this article says Arsenal make contact to sign Aston Villa player. Emirates side won't accept no less than set price, according to AS in Colombia. To be fair, isn't he Colombian? I could be wrong, people, but you could say that's local news. I have no doubt Arsenal have an interest in him. You know, you'd imagine we're looking at strikers. I'm sure we're looking at unknown entities. We're looking at the household names, the Gyökeres, the Seskos, the Vlahovic's, the John Duran's, quote unquote. It wouldn't surprise me if he's on the list. Whether we're going to get a deal done is another thing. He's currently scored 6 goals for Aston Villa this season, and he did score against Bayern Munich. And he did sign a new deal until 2030, which could be to show that he's here for the long term or protect, you know, the resale value. Apparently, that hasn't stopped the 20-year-old from attracting interest from other clubs, including Arsenal. It's claimed several teams have contacted the Villains to ask the fee needed to secure the Colombia international services. Among these clubs, the Gunners and Barcelona are the two big teams that are keen on signing him in January. The report states Aston Villa have informed Arsenal and the La Liga side that they need 90 million euros for the star and no less than that. Fair enough, people. Barcelona are unlikely to meet Aston Villa's request, at least in the next window, considering their own financial situation into account. This could give Arsenal an easy route as long as they can convince both Emre and Duran. Great stuff. Does anyone believe that? I don't know. Once again, apparently we're plotting a move for Mbeumo. This article talks about his versatility, and apparently he's only behind Haaland where it comes to scoring goals. And to be fair, 6 goals in his first 8. Boy, you want to hear that? Especially, playing up front's one thing, but where you've got Martinelli's injured, Saka's injured, he could do a thing and fill in. What do you lot make of that? And apparently Chelsea have joined Arsenal in the race to sign Vlahovic. I think both teams have accredited interest in him, but both teams arguably want a striker. So it's easy to link Arsenal, Chelsea to a degree, probably even Man United with strikers. I mean, Spurs signed Solanke, so they're normally thrown into the mix as well. Apparently Chelsea have joined Arsenal in the race to sign Vlahovic, according to a report. The Serb continues to enchant Premier League sides despite his hit and miss form for Juventus. Vlahovic has never managed to live up to his inflated 83.5 million euros price tag in the Turin, but the general consensus is that he would excel in the top flight of English football. The physical striker has scored 7 goals in 10 games so far this season, but his numbers obscure the fact that he has been heavily criticised once again this term. Vlahovic scores in batches, netting braces against Verona, Genoa and Leipzig. The 24-year-old has drawn blanks in 6 of his 10 games this campaign, and this is simply not good enough for a striker leading the line for Juventus, who cost such an eye-watering amount of money. Bit harsh, because even, I think Haaland's got an abnormal amount of goals, and he's taking a couple weeks off, and they're on to him as well. So there's no striker that's going to score for 38 games. But yeah, I don't think Arsenal go for him, because I think he done us dirty. But I think we're linked with him because we had an interest, because he's a striker, and probably all clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, they're all probably monitoring the contract stuff with him, people. Arsenal and Chelsea ask about Vlahovic. As we know, Arsenal wanted to sign him in January 2022 while he was still at Fiorentina, but was snubbed by the centre forward in favour of Juventus. Since then, Mikel Arteta has never stopped keeping an eye on his performances. Despite his somewhat disappointing return of 48 goals in 111 matches for Juventus, Arsenal's interest remains. According to TBR, even Chelsea have now asked to be kept informed. Now, you never know. Dennis Bergkamp was down on his luck. Henry was down on his luck when we signed them, but 48 goals in 111 matches, it's not terrible, but it's not amazing. It's not really a blockbuster. Obviously, I'm not saying not to sign him, but is that better than Kai Havertz? Really? I don't know, people. Should we see if there's anything on TBR for what it's worth connected with our football club? What's this? This is about Gabriel Jesus. We can look at that. What else we got? Is there a section just for Arsenal? There we go. If I can get that right. No one cares about Howard Webb. Shout out Tony Adams. We don't care about what Mr. Chris Sutton's had to say. We've gone over. What's this? Is this about Duran again? Yeah, it is. So we'll leave that one there alone. We've gone over Raheem Sterling already. Where's that tab gone? Tab police, look away. 265 grand per week Arsenal player considering leaving due to a lack of game time this season. I mean, Gabriel Jesus, if you want to leave, innit? Like, you probably need to, really. Your stock has fallen. I think the club, I don't think they'll force you out. I think you're a versatile and important player. But at the end of the day, like in any organization, if you're earning big bucks, you got to be doing things, and you're nowhere near Kai Havertz. Like, Kai Havertz in the upfront pecking orders there, you're down there. If we bring another striker and what's going on, yeah, it's just not happened for Gabriel Jesus since he got an injury at the World Cup, and he's just got worse and worse, man. He's considering leaving Arsenal to go where, though? Because somebody's got a bid for you. Are they going to give Arsenal the 45 million? Are they going to give you the wages? Fair enough. If you get an offer from Saudi or something, that's great. Apparently, he's played just 89 minutes of Premier League football so far this season, has fallen down the pecking order since the start of last season. Once again, he found himself on the bench. According to Give Me Sport, Jesus is expected to hold internal discussions with the Arsenal hierarchy about his future and is considering leaving as he wants to feature more. Arteta is believed to have faith in the 27-year-old, but he simply hasn't had enough game time this season, which has prompted him to explore his options. Now, I don't begrudge you for going and exploring your options. If you want to go and get first team football, fair enough. You've got one career to live, and especially at 27. And you're one of the highest earners. You're one of the most experienced players. Dare I say, when you think of Arsenal, I don't think you think of Gabriel Jesus straight away, but you're quote-unquote one of the most household names. But I think you've got to take some responsibility. Listen, injuries can happen, but when you've had opportunities, you've not taken them. You've been injured. There's no way, yeah, Martinelli and Saka's injuries might, you could argue, can I get a game gaffer? But generally, you cannot say you've been better than Martinelli. Like, yes, Martinelli's form ain't been amazing since the start of the season, but he's more vital for the team than you. The less said about Bukayo Saka's position, the better. Kai Havertz, the same. You can't play in any other role. Then, yeah, you could probably play 10. Some Arsenal fans once upon a time said play him left centre mid. That's a myth. So I think you need to look internally. He's yet to score in his 6 Premier League appearances this season and has notched up just 4 goals in the league during the 2023-24 campaign, in which you can't complain. Kai Havertz, you wouldn't even describe him as clinical. He's better in the final third than you. So it really doesn't make sense. I'm not going to turn on Gabriel Jesus. You know, every player at Arsenal is going to be utilised. As long as you're here, you'll have my support. But as I said yesterday, come the summer, there's probably some uncomfortable conversations that we have to have. I'm not expecting to sell 7 players and bring in 7. It's not FIFA. But I love Tomiyasu. You all know that. If these injuries persist, there's a conversation. Gabriel Jesus, there's a conversation. Zinchenko, I'm not saying you're not vital for the squad. You're a good squad player, but there's many left backs there. I'm sure Mikel Arteta and us would love to see. You got 2 years left on your deal, probably earning a decent amount. Conversation. Kivior, the more that you're on the bench and not really playing, there's a conversation. Doesn't really count. Sterling, there's a conversation. Partey, don't think you're getting a renewal. Jorginho, I think you're more likely to get a renewal because I see you joining Mikel Arteta's kind of coaching stuff, but there's a conversation to have. Forcing it a bit. But the keeper, who we haven't seen, Neto, are you going to be here next year? And there's probably some Tierney doesn't count, but you could throw him in there. And there's probably some other names I'm missing out as well. You know, the Fabio Vieiras, the Lokongas, the Tavareses. There's still a lot that we need to clear out. And I wouldn't say there's a lot that we need to bring in, but we probably need a couple of backup goalies. In my opinion, 2 central midfielders would do me nicely, especially if one could be an 8. I think we need a long-term wide option. And I think I speak for every Arsenal fan in the chat and that's watching this on the rerun. Smash the like button, people. A striker. You know, to go with what Kai is doing. So, Jesus, you can't complain about nothing. We've gone over the Vlahovic stuff. Arsenal tipped to pre-sign Benjamin Sesko in January for 60 million euros. I would love that, but really? Just signed a new deal. Again, another one who's 1 minute he's scoring goals, then it's kind of blank. Like, I like Sesko. I think he's a work in progress. I think he's very raw. I think he could be our Haaland, maybe not to that extent, but in terms of the physical attributes and whatnot. And I think he'd be someone that long-term maybe could take Kai Havertz's spot, but isn't immediately going to take it. Like, we can't be in this dangerous realm of saying, don't sign a striker because we got Kai Havertz. In my opinion, that's like saying, don't, like, as much as I love Saliba and Saka, if there was an opportunity to sign someone better than them or someone that could upgrade, don't sign them because we've got that. It doesn't make no sense to me. So I do think we need a striker. If Kai keeps doing what he's doing, he's got nothing to worry about. But we've been tipped to spend 60 million in January with the Leipzig star not officially joining the Gunners until the end of the season. That's according to Give Me Sport, who report that Arsenal are considering opening talks with Leipzig and Sesko about such an arrangement. The plan would be to meet Leipzig's asking price of 60 million euros. What's that? 50 million and some change for Sesko in January, but allow him to remain at the Bundesliga club until the summer of 2025. The report claims Leipzig would accept such an offer and would not demand more than 60 million for the striker. Based on that, could you argue he's evidently cheaper than what they'd ask for Isaac if he even got a chance? Don't think we're signing John Duran, but evidently cheaper than that. So that's John Duran, and that's who else did I say? Isaac. Gyökeres has 100 million euros, so that's about 80, 90 odd million quid. He's cheaper than that. If we can take this report for face value, and what we know is that we actually tried to sign Sesko for all the talk about all the other guys and Ferguson of Brighton. We actually tried to sign Sesko in the summer. So could you argue this is something to be done? I don't know, people. It is believed that upon signing a new contract with Leipzig in June, Sesko secured a gentleman's agreement with his club that would allow him to leave in 2025. Now, big up all the gentlemen out there. Would love gentleman agreements to be honoured and whatnot. But in business where it's ruthless, how far does a gentleman's agreement, if I's haven't been dotted and T's haven't been crossed and it's not in cold-hearted writing, how far does that go? Because if I'm Leipzig, and let's just say Sesko scores a million, exaggeration, but 1 million goals, I might want to hold on to him. I might have told him, yeah, you can leave for 60 million, or your agent, you can leave for 60. Then if he does the business, I might say, I never told you that. I didn't tell you that. I meant 100. I think you got the wrong email. What can you do? So we'll have to see, man. Apparently, Arsenal had been in negotiations for several weeks with Leipzig and Sesko, and it's believed that a deal was all but done with only some formalities to complete before the 21-year-old would agree on personal terms. Now, I remember The Athletic. You know, Sesko kind of wanted his future. What The Athletic said, long story short, Sesko kind of wanted his future, whether he's going to stay at Leipzig or move on, done before the Euros. Arsenal were kind of waiting owing to accountancy issues and whatnot. That's why it never kind of got anywhere. Apparently, Sesko had made it clear in negotiations he wanted to join Arsenal over interested clubs such as AC Milan. Man United and Chelsea were linked with him. We all would have seen his agents at several big Premier League games last season. Meetings with Sesko's entourage had all pointed to the striker joining Arsenal. I mean, in terms of your age and the profile, it makes sense. It then came as a huge shock when it was revealed at the start of June that Sesko would be staying at Leipzig, and he subsequently signed a new contract with the club. The Gunners remain interested in Sesko ahead of 2025 and are expected to return for the striker possibly as early as January. Indeed, the fact that Arsenal chose not to sign a natural number 9 after Sesko's rejection suggests they may make a new move. He has 18 goals in 42 games for his club last season, and he obviously went to the Euros. This season, he's got 6 goals in 10 games. So I'm still waiting for his consistency to really go up there, but I do think he's got the raw materials to bring something to the table. You would have seen last week Jack Wilshere potentially joining Norwich. Now David Ornstein and Art de Roche big him up. They've confirmed it. Jack Wilshere leaving Arsenal to join Norwich as first team coach. Jack Wilshere is leaving his role as Arsenal's under-18 head coach, bearing in mind our under-19s are playing in the youth league right now, to take up a first team coaching position at Norwich. Congratulations, it's progress in your career. The 32-year-old will leave Arsenal on Wednesday and begin at his new club the following day, where he'll effectively replace Narcis Palanche, who departed in September to take the head coach role at fellow Championship club Stoke City. Fair enough. And he's obviously got a good relationship with the sporting director, Ben Napier, who, as we know, previously, until October of 2023, was a loan manager at the club. So big up Jack Wilshere. Not getting at Jack Wilshere because he's obviously maybe not reached his full potential, but you know, he bossed Barcelona. He's been capped by England. He came through at Arsenal. He's one of the best players that have come through an academy in terms of British talent. But if you're a coach that hasn't, you know, not a household name like Jack Wilshere and all of that, I wonder how you can't let things phase you in life, yeah. But it kind of is on brand with the whole coaching debate going into Thomas Tuchel and the coaches in England being developed. Because if you was like, let's just say I was Joe Bloggs, I played with Jack Wilshere and won the FA Youth Cup, but I didn't reach the first team, and I've got coaching ambitions, and I've been, you know, since then I've done many years in the academy. I've done whatever. At 32, he's in the first team setup. Is it too far-fetched to feel in the next 18, maybe that 18 months is a reach, but in the next year or two, by the time he's 35, potentially, he's a manager somewhere? I don't know. So it raises in question, you know, like, is there really any ambition to get into coaching if you're a Joe Bloggs? I don't know, people. Don't forget, people, today we will be watching Shakhtar Donetsk against Arsenal. Today we'll be doing a watch-along for it. Is there any other Arsenal-related news? Let's have a look, people. Don't worry, I'm seeing a bunch of comments. We'll get into it. I just trying to structure the show. So yeah, we've gone over Jack Wilshere, gone over Saliba, gone over the stadium stuff, Raheem Sterling. Big up Arsène Wenger again. Once again, happy birthday. We've spoken about John Duran. We know we're not getting Nico Williams. We've gone over Brian Mbeumo. What's this? Arsenal now scout 20-year-old gem who is the perfect Partey upgrade. Who could this be? Oh, according to the boot room, Arsenal have been left impressed by Brighton youngster Carlos Belen. But bro, these are the man you have to sign at Lille. He's a bad boy. You know, we all know how great Brighton signings are and their recruitment and all of the things they do. But bro, they're going to ask for crazy money from him. You can forget about that. Unless you want to put the crazy money down. Brighton do this. You saw what they asked for Benjamin White. We spent 50 million on Benjamin White off the back of one Premier League season. Saw the fee for Caicedo. Saw the fee for Cucurella. We all know what they would ask for, even though it stops falling in Ferguson. Matoma's not really been doing a madness, but they'll ask for a lot there. I don't really believe it. I mean, I would love the guy at the club. I think he's tigerish. I think he's fairly progressive with a ball. Obviously, he's 20, so he would be a long-term kind of option. Apparently, Spurs are interested as well, and both teams are considering moves. Apparently, Arsenal's recruitment team is already identifying a number of targets. Why didn't we? Maybe we scouted him and we wanted to. It's one of them where you want to kind of see how they develop when they make the intermediate step to Brighton. But why don't we sign those players when, you know, when the time's there, like when they're at Lille? He arrived at Brighton in 2023. Apparently, prior to joining Arsenal, Brighton. Apparently, prior to joining Brighton, better yet, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United were amongst the sides who considered moving for him. But he's again attracting interest. Apparently, Aston Villa, Spurs, City are all interested. They signed him for 23 million. Obviously, operates as a number 6. Apparently, he ranks among the top 4% for pass completion per 90 compared to his position peers across Europe. And apparently, he sits in the top 3% for blocks and 15% for aerial duels. I mean, these are things Mikel Arteta likes a lot, really and truly. But they signed him for 23 million, probably on a 4 or 5 year deal. Brighton, obviously, because they've sold right, are not under pressure. Personally, I think Brighton, especially with their new manager, they're at that point now where obviously players will always be sold. It's the evolution of life. It's like potentially the Saka Salibas going off to Real Madrid one day, right? But surely Brighton are at that point now where it's not just a bit like what we was doing in the early Emirates era. We get a couple decent players. These guys are, and we get a couple decent players. So indirectly, we've got a decent squad. These guys get sold. Surely Brighton want to hold on to players now and maybe do what Aston Villa doing, pushing for the Champions League, getting far in Europe, solidifying the base. I don't know. I'd love us to sign it. I don't know if that's facts, people. But yeah, that's all they got. Big up yourself, 2-3. Shout out the members. Hope he finds long-term form again. Man did not score against Bolton. I mean, so yeah, that's in relation to Gabriel Jesus. Listen, we all hope for Gabriel Jesus. You know, I still think he's a useful squad player in what's to play this season. But at the end of the day, you've dropped off a cliff. Like, there was a time where when it came to Gabriel Jesus, only real criticism is you would score a difficult finish from an acute angle and miss tap-ins. Now there's no goals. You look short on confidence. Decision-making is not there. Sharpness ain't there. And, you know, at the end of the day, you're just not in the first team picture like that. Like, you know, Raheem Sterling started ahead of Gabriel Jesus. Now, that could be a tactical thing Arteta wanted to do. That tells me the pecking order. Raheem Sterling's ahead of you in that regards. He might look sharper in training even, being devil's advocate. Moreno hate is so forced. You can't give up on him after he just got here. Got an unlucky injury, came back in an injury-riddled team, building up match fitness and learning the system, which takes time. Promise, you're right. And I said it at the start of this, like, I don't know. I don't think Mikel Merino is that trailblazer that upgrades our system and changes our fortunes and things. But I think it's a shrewd addition, someone that puts pressure on first team spots, and a decent player. Like, you get a couple of these decent players, the squad's better. What I'm not a fan of is such is life. It's not just Arsenal fans, but you can't say this guy's going to change our fortunes. He's a Xhaka replacement. It's a master stroke. You know, Partey's going to get dropped. Rice going to get dropped. What goes on there? The minute, as you said, he's working his way back through fitness, you know, turning on him. He does look a bit slow. Maybe that's because he's not quite sharp. I like the fact that he's quite tigerish. I just think he's a squad player. I could be wrong. Obviously, if you earn your spot, you earn your spot. Love your vids, DG. Edward, I love the fact that you love it. This is who we do it for, man. Appreciative to you lot tuned in. Big up, DG. Plays in the 10 and Ethan right wing. I hear it. I'm not on it though. Not for today, man. I want to be not saying that's not serious, but I'd rather play Ethan. I'm more likely to see Ethan play right wing 10. You can run that, do that. But I don't really want Zini in a 10. You could get away with it in a game like this. I'd rather just run him left back just because of Calafiori. I don't really want Calafiori to get 90 minutes today. S, appreciate you. Big up to Laguna. Appreciate you checking out my channel yesterday. Make sure you're giving in some subs. I'm always scouting, man. I'm always scouting. I'm always trying to see, you know, what content creators are doing, if I'm honest. Good, we need to push them on, to be honest, if they continue lying, but we can't also cry wolf. Refs are all crap. Don't let them be the factor. Hence, ref stuff is kind of weak excuse. I hear that. You hear what Chelsea are doing with Josh Achapon, saying he has to sign a new deal or he can't play for the 21s or first teams. Young players need to think about themselves. I can't verify if that's true, but that's nothing unique to football. That is what you said there is a regular thing that happens with a lot of young players, and people don't see it. So he's got a decision to make, and he's a talented player, really. So yeah, big him up. People also got to understand Ethan is still a kid, and we need to remember that relationships and learning the role is so different. And also, he isn't aware of doing 2 games a week. I agree with you. I definitely agree. And everybody knows when it comes to youth football, I'm more than happy to waffle about it, you know, for time. But at the same time, are you going to get that experience or get sharpness if you're not thrown in? Like, it's like learning to swim. People could sit you down in the office and show you, yeah, this is the swimming techniques. But at some point, you got to get pushed in the deep end. And it's a very extreme example, but it's sink or swim. Can you tread water? Can you swim in that current? Or are you going under and is your life over? You know, I don't think young players are ever ready. I don't think there's ever, obviously, you know, Mikel Arteta. We got to remember, Mikel Arteta is the one seeing him, you know. Mikel Arteta is the one working with him and all of those things. But at the same time, are you ever ready? Are you ever ready for anything changing, groundbreaking in life? I think Ethan should be exposed to more minutes, but I don't think it's a thing where start week in, week out, every week and whatnot, because again, you don't know what you're going to get. To be fair, the whole team, you don't know what you're going to get for 10 games. But if Ethan played 10 games in a row, like somebody said, if 2 games in a week, 3 games in 10 days, which is going to take a lot out of you physically as well. If he had a 10-game period, it's all about consistencies. I would rather him have 10 6s out of 10s than 2 weeks, million out of 10. The next week it's a 4, it's a 3, it's a 2. Now, why I would like him to play is I think you've got the skill set to play. And I think I would rather let you learn these cold lessons now. And I don't think you could do any worse. I would like you to play an Odegaard's role, but I think, like somebody said, you could get exposed to playing out wide. I think you're fairly adaptable and can help us out. I think the only thing he's lacking is something that it's not really his fault. He's being exposed to it. The tactics and all of those kind of things. In terms of what you'd expect in Odegaard's traditional role, Ethan's like for like, you can go and do that. But it's the body positions, it's the relationships, as you said, it's build up, playing those phases of where you need to be, it's the defensive stuff, and it's remembering that for 90 minutes. So yeah, big up a Gal Talks Football. Big up you for getting 30k subs. Make sure you're following him. Yo, the refs are refereeing Arsenal different to everyone else. I agree and disagree. I do think we're judged harsher, and I don't think this is something unique to Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. I think this goes all the way back to, when Arsenal were actually fighting Sir Alex Ferguson. We've always been judged harsher, and then you get to the Emirates era where we were called a soft touch, and it literally related, I think there's a correlation with that. Conscious and unconscious bias, and simply put, Diaby, Eduardo, Ramsey, people getting their legs broke. And then I think people said, what annoyed me is people said Arsenal need to be a bit street smarter. We need to do this. We need to do that. We got tired of getting bullied and looking for teachers to help us. We started going boxing and started punching people up, and now there's an issue. The dark arts, for me, my gripe is I think Trossard knows what he's doing in it. I'll give Trossard the benefit of the doubt. I think he's kicked the ball away. So if you've got a yellow card for that, you have to hold that. The ball's moving in the Declan Rice incidents, right? Personally, I think Declan Rice knows what he's doing. Both of them are delaying the restart. I like that. That's the dark arts that's required. That isn't something that's just unique to Arsenal Football Club. But if you play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Saliba, don't really have sympathy. I think Trossard dropped you in it, but in theory, it's a tactical foul. It's one where it's 6 cents. So I do think we're judged differently. But how far does it go? I don't think it's as extreme as every Arsenal fan goes. I think some Arsenal fans sit there. I'm not saying you, Agal, or anyone, but some Arsenal fans will sit there, watch Arsenal, and just watch any Premier League game and any sort of refereeing incidents. They're quick to harp on about it, really and truly, because I ain't got them to hand. But there's also been several times we've bossed case. At the top of my head, I didn't see it. I'm making it up. But you could argue, when we drew at Anfield last year, potentially there was a handball on Martin Odegaard. So there has been times we've escaped things. But I do agree with that, man. Not interested in any Brighton players at the moment, honestly. I'll take Balemba. I'll take Matoma. I know his stock's on the floor. I'll take Ferguson based on the links. Probably some names I'm missing out still, man. But yeah, I would not be against several players, man, if I'm honest with you, man. But yeah, referees, we know the refs are never going to be of us. We got 64k right now. Come on. I heard 75k they want to expand. I'm no architect, but how do you expand the Emirates even more? Like, do you build up? When is that going to... Well, that can only take place in the summer. I think naturally you're going to have to do that. I mean, these people, Arsenal need to maximize their revenue. We need to, we got a brand. We definitely got a brand in America. I don't think Arsenal are going to host Beyonce, but if Spurs can do that at their stadium, we must be able to get 1-2 concerts going on and whatnot. You've got to look at how to maximize revenue at any given occasion, man. My problem is that if we do lose to Liverpool on Sunday, I ain't accepting that excuse, but did hear Arsenal not appeal the red card. We can't appeal the red card. We've got no grounds to appeal the red card. My bigger issue is not even the red card. Is who the hell is playing centre half, really and truly? Because if Timber isn't in training, maybe you're not ready and we might risk you. But what do we do? Do you put Benjamin White there? If Tommy's fit, which he's probably not, does Tommy go there? Does Calafiori and you play 2 left-footed centre halves? If you have to move the Benjamin Whites, the Calafioris, what happens at fullback? And again, a team that our build-up play is already shaky because we're missing some players out. What happens there? Does he go with Kivior, which I think is probably... I think Kivior starting centre-back, there's a higher chance than a lot of us are leading on, but I don't want to see that. I don't think Kivior looks confident, if I'm honest with you. And I think you look like lunch meat. Big up Zims, man. Make sure you're following him on Twitch. Hope you're feeling much better today, brother. Look at you, man. The Mikel hate I haven't seen, but I don't know what people are saying since I don't check X as much. Best to ignore silliness, but people assuming he is a creator, which he isn't. He's not a creator, bro. Like, you can pass the ball forward. Like, you can definitely pass the ball. You're Spanish, you can pass the ball. You got passing range. But let's not make no mistake. Moreno is very similar to Declan Rice in a sense of, respectfully to them, if we stop all this tactical crap, you man are in the team to make other man shine. Yeah, you can pass the ball. You can do all these things, but there's, as we always say, there's piano pushers and piano players. You typically, if there's 3 in midfield, Declan Rice is the industrial ball winner. You give it to the Bobby Dazzlers. The same with Mikel Merino. You man are just industrious midfielders. Anything you do is a bonus. That's what you've been known for. Even looking at the Spain team, obviously he scored a goal in the semi-finals. He did well, but you weren't the waviest in midfield. You weren't the guy with the link-up play. It was Fabian Ruiz. So how much are we going to get out of a stone? And as much as I like the fact that we're getting more physical players, in fact, but physical midfielders, I do like what we could see in theory from Mikel Merino in aerial duels and combativeness, and you throw in Declan Rice. My biggest concern is there's not, as stupid as it is, there's not enough specialists at Arsenal in central midfield that can pass the ball and connect the dots. And it's a bit of a humbling experience, I would say, under Mikel Arteta for me as a 29-year-old Arsenal fan, because definitely during, well, we had the physical, you know, Vieira, all these guys could pass the ball, but, you know, we had them for granted. We had the Nasris, the Sessis, the who else are there? The Santi Cazorlas. We need the next one like that, really, if I'm honest with you. I think there's too much industry, and make no mistake, regardless of that, all of you have enough in your locker to pass the ball forward and do a lot better than you did, obviously, against Bournemouth. But at the same time, yeah, man, it's a madness. Big up DG, rough and tough times for us right now, but that's football and we can't complain about the red card either. Just have to hope they pull a rabbit out the hat against Liverpool. Really have to hope, because it's going to be a dark place if you lose to Liverpool. I still don't think Arsenal fans should overreact if we don't beat Liverpool and do the doom and gloom thing. But at the same time, in terms of balance, what you got to look at is, God forbid, you lose to Liverpool, you lost to Bournemouth, that's 2 L's in a row. You got Chelsea, Newcastle, and a bunch of other tough games. You throw in the 2 points dropped at Brighton without context, and the 2 points dropped against City. The more you drop points, the more the margin for error with City gets bigger, and City are going to drop points. The question is how much. How much points do you see them dropping? I swear last season they had 3 L's. We've got 1 already. So the margins for error are not there. And to be honest with you, I still think we got the same old issue from last season, in the sense of, again, there's context is behind everything. But so far, the top 6 games have not been an issue for us. You know, we got something out of the City game. Yes, it's another year. Haven't won at the Etihad, but we got something. We dealt with Spurs. Villa, we done something. It's the games that should, and then no games are like this, but it's the games that should be straightforward traffic. Southampton, we won. It's great. No one wants to waffle, but there was evident concerns. Even against Villa, there was concerns. Now, you can have a couple of games across a season where you might not be at it, you nick it, but there were concerns there. There was concern. I don't think there was any concerns for City, if I'm honest, but there was concerns against Villa. Probably in terms of our discipline away from the red card, I felt how we defended with 10 men against Brighton, they were there. We won at the end of the day, as I said, against Southampton and Leicester, but they were there. Maybe we got our just deserves against Bournemouth, so we need to go up a tenfold, man. Like, it is what it is. I personally think we got to go on the craziest of runs now or forget about stuff, but who knows, people? As I said, man, don't forget later today, man said earlier, later today, we're watching Arsenal versus Shakhtar Donetsk together. Big up you lot for being part of this. Obviously, earlier today, I released a video with Jordan, so go and check that out. And I'll see you lot later, man. I'm off to record some vids and learn some editing for you lot, people. So, yeah, man, you lots of support is appreciated, whatever platform you're on. See you lot this evening, man. Peace.
Like